talking about, but the way he slips inside is he's such a good defensive fighter, Tyson. People forget that.
I believe alpha males are not born, they are made. Reacting to their environment, alpha males are very self-aware people that know the importance of discipline and time. Now on this video, we're going to break down 7 signs to see if you're an alpha male, and to look at areas where you can improve to become the best version of yourself. People, you know what it is. It's your boy Neymar, and I'm back with another big YouTube vid. And on this channel, we deal with straight fire, no bull content. And as always, I gotta give you my BS. So,
get up and let's get it.
Human beings have got a tendency for mediocrity, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because that tendency ensures that life goes on and everything is kept moving. Now through discipline, alpha males have got the ability to override that tendency. Now make no mistake, they're in touch with the one thing that's constant in this universe, and that's change. Yep, alpha males are indeed game changers. Now the first sign of being an alpha male is your level of masculinity. Can you fight a war to bring about peace? Can you protect your loved ones? Have you got the ingenuity to rub 2 sticks together to bring about fire? That's why masculinity is number 1 on this list.
And you know, masculinity that's a primal force. And it's a primal force that exists in all men. But it's in a dormant state in most men. Every man can evolve to his best self. That's what he's supposed to do. When you talk about developing your masculine power, there are 4 basic areas. The very nature of man is to physically do stuff. Now, we just live in this culture which tries to suppress masculine energy. We really do. Being active actually increases your masculine energy, because what we have a lot of men being just sitting down.
Which brings me beautifully onto my next point. Alpha males don't sit around. Alpha males are active. That discipline has powered their masculinity, which in turn has powered their insane productivity. This comes from being able to resist instincts and urges. Now, who remembers Brewster's Millions? Well, think of delayed gratification as the offer being proposed to Richard Pryor. Now, you take the 1 million, that's instant gratification, or you hold out for the 300 million, which is delayed. Alpha males are indeed visionaries, because they have the unique ability to connect with their future selves.
Discipline means that you're capable of making sacrifice. The successful among us sacrifice. The successful among us delay gratification. The successful among us bargain with the future.
Next up, we have tame your dopamine. Okay, so this is something that's also very, very important, so please pay attention and maybe take some notes. In the world we live in today, or at least in the Western society, a lot of people are very, very addicted to dopamine, and we get so much of it, way more than we have ever gotten before. So our tolerance to it is much higher. We're used to it, and so if we do not get it, we seek it out much faster and in much greater amounts. Therefore, when we do boring things that don't offer us as much dopamine, such as reading a book, or cleaning, or making your bed, or doing laundry, or working on a business, it's very, very hard because it doesn't offer the same amount of dopamine as sitting down and going through TikTok, which offers a load of dopamine and is very easy to do. So you have both of these combined, it's very easy to just fall into that trap. Or playing video games, like it's very easy to play video games and you get way more dopamine, so your brain's like, hey, do this, don't do that. So my point is it gets very boring to do the mundane things. Okay, so Sebastian, what do? You need to identify the areas of your life where you're getting the unhealthy dopamine. And so a very good example will be like video games, will be like eating a lot of sugary foods and drinks, like sodas and sugary stuff all the time. Pornography is like absolutely terrible. And social media, of course. Social media is one of the worst ones that is out there. And this obviously depends case by case, but if you can identify something in your own life that's unique, then write it down. So now that you have all those identified, you want to slowly turn down the dial on how much you consume of these things.
So with cognitive behavior therapy, we call these aversive tasks, meaning they seem too painful to start or complete. And the usual reasons that they seem aversive are being too big to get started, it's boring and routine, it takes you too long and you lose interest in it, it has too many steps and you don't feel like doing all the steps.
I think that procrastination isn't shameful, it's not a sign of weakness, it's not a flaw. It's actually pretty predictable. It's competitive. We're often competing with one another. Often, there's limited rewards and recognition more people want A's than can reasonably expect to get them. In those circumstances, we can fully expect that people will seek to protect themselves, the meaning of not getting that reward, the meaning of not getting that recognition for their self-concept and their self-worth. You open up your laptop to get started to tackle this paper, and then you think, I'm going to check my email just for a minute. So 45 minutes later, you've checked a lot of email. You've done a really good job of that. And I think, you know what, that's not quite enough time to get started on this paper. What can you get done in an hour? And I find myself back in the same spot at the same time. It's 11 o'clock, and I haven't done anything toward my paper. So now, not only have I not made progress, I'm behind, and I feel pretty bad about myself. And at some point, I just say to myself, you know what? I just gotta get this done. The humiliation of not completing it is worse than not writing the best paper my professor has ever read. So self-worth theory asserts or posits first and foremost that the paramount psychological need that all of us have is to be seen by ourselves and others as capable and competent and able. And because it's the primary paramount need, we will actually sacrifice or trade off other needs to realize or achieve or meet that need. And that's where procrastination comes in. Procrastinators are actually not less motivated than the average person, even though that's what they say, or I'm lazy, or I don't have time management. Those are really not typically the causes. What it is a feeling of stuckness. Two countervailing forces. We are driven towards success on the one hand, but we are strongly and powerfully motivated to avoid failure on the other.
Number 3, you don't seek the approval of others. This, however, does not mean that you are adverse to criticism, don't seek counsel, or do not take other people's advice. All this means is that their judgment, critique, and opinion of you does not stop you from reaching your destination. And why should it, when your emotions are regulated and you're on your purpose?
In the early days of mankind, the acceptance by the tribe was necessary to stay alive. But in the current age, aside from abiding the law, we don't need people's validation in order to survive. Anything that holds us back from being authentic, it's when we design our lives with the purpose of appeasing others. The more we value opinions, the less we value our own inherent worth. Self-worth is really something that we decide for ourselves. If we decide that our worth depends on how others perceive us, then this is what we sign up for. Our sense of well-being becomes dependent on what other people think. And because this is not up to us, it's a slavish way to live.
What we'll find is unless we do the shadow work and we stop searching for external validation, we will find ourselves constantly seeking from other people. I attributed that the more value I could add to other people, the more they would like and accept me. And the more I went into it, the more I realized that I was attributing my sense of value, my sense of worthiness and validation with what I could provide and the value I could add to other people, not knowing that in a way I was also trying to prove myself. I was trying to prove myself from either childhood friends or family that maybe didn't believe in me when I first started getting on YouTube. So I was like trying to prove people wrong. You could say that it's the abandonment wound. The abandonment wound is what was causing me to not validate myself, because I was afraid that if somebody else would abandon me, then I would feel that same sense of emptiness, or I wouldn't survive. And we will then bend like pretzels. We'll bend backwards. We'll do whatever we can. We have trouble saying no. We become people pleasers. And the key and the cure to the abandonment wound, you want to know what it is? It's to stop abandoning the self. But if we would validate ourselves, if we would stop abandoning ourselves and start doing what we want to do and filling up our own cup, we wouldn't need the external validation. This was the game changer for me.
Number 4, they're happy with their lives. You just don't wake up one day and say, I'm happy. That's not how it works. And alpha males realize this. This is why exercise and the release of those endorphins are important to them. Now just think of yourself as a doorman, and your mind is the venue. And all the party goers trying to get in are negative and positive thoughts. Now think of that hormone and chemical release as your backup staff, helping you to weed out all of the negative thoughts. They constantly practice gratitude. They're grateful people. They're full of greatness.
Happiness is not something that you magically wake up one day having. You have to create it. You have to build the right habits, and over time, you will start to feel happier. The first way to create more happiness is by fixing the ratio. Studies have found that about 80% of the thoughts that we have on a day-to-day basis are negative. This is bad because every time you have a negative thought, it comes with a negative feeling. Why, if you want to be happy, you need to fix the ratio of the amount of bad thoughts you have every day to the amount of good thoughts you have every day. The first is by building a habit of expressing gratitude. I have a journal that I write in every night. Write about a couple of things like what I learned that day, any key events that occurred, what I want to accomplish the following day. But I always end my journal entries by writing down at least one thing that I'm grateful for in my life.
Now here's an element that contributes to their happy lives, which is number 5. They control their emotions. I used to do this thing whereas if I had a negative thought, I used to stop and say to myself, I am not these thoughts and emotions. And it works. The only thing is you become inconsistent. Alpha males are not inconsistent. They forever disassociate themselves and identify with negative emotions. Now I've always said people get carried away until they get carried away. By giving into your lust, jealousy, hatred, greed, and fear, you're going right back to the limbic system's instant and delayed gratification. Because you can always choose how you feel.
You must understand the seriousness of this. There's one thing that literally undermines everything you do as a man, or fuels it. It's your emotions. As a man, if you allow your emotions to dictate your actions, to dictate your mission, your future, you're not gonna live a good life. We are so in touch with our emotions, and that is not a good thing. Because there is a difference between it being in touch and being emotional to being aware of our emotions. Being aware of your emotions is a top tier skill. Being aware of your emotions means you feel the emotion and you can almost label it like, I'm feeling angry right now, why? Being emotional means that you feel that anger and you are angry because you're emotional. You feel that jealousy and you are jealous, and so you do something in spite of that person that you're jealous of. You don't want to live a life like this because your emotions change very frequently. You know this.
At number 6, you dominate your environment. You know how the old saying goes, winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners. When alphas have got a clear goal in mind, they will cover all bases of that subject. They know what that goal means to them, and they become tunnel visioned in achieving it. And you can feel the intensity. You can feel the work that's been put in, while everybody else is just looking around happy to be in a race. Alphas go above and beyond to fine-tune their craft. Talent, they're looking to outwork you. And that persistency and dedication comes straight from their masculinity.
Dominate, don't compete. Do you think Apple competes? Do you think they dominate? Do you think Starbucks competes, or you think they dominate?
If you wanted to hike across America, that would require planning. You would need to know what route you were going to take, whether you had enough food, and have contingency plans for if something went wrong. Mastering a new subject is just like a long hike. We need to know what route we're going to take long before we first set out. Preparation, or pre-learning. This is where we do some research and sketch out a roadmap of what we're going to learn, the order we're going to learn it in, and how we're going to learn it.
10,000 hours on something just to become good at it. That was a kind of the subliminal message that was being beamed. That's 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 20 years. That's a depressing thought. Started to look, how do children learn? Just look at the way children learn. And children usually learn when they're not being coerced in an environment in a classroom. They find a cool thing. And if you look at the way people study martial arts in Japan, I lived in Japan for 3 years and I was very interested in martial arts. And the way they study martial arts is to break it down, not just into slices in the Western way, which they call kata, but they also break it down into miniature exercises called waza. And an exercise is like a microcosm of the whole subject. It contains like the DNA of the whole subject.
As I've discussed before, the way you learn can make all the difference between being a successful student in a seemingly impossible span of time and wasting years learning nothing at all. In a nutshell, focusing comes down to just 3 things. Eliminating external distractions like your phone, your TV, and your younger brother. Eliminating internal distractions like stress, anxiety, and perfectionism. And training focus specifically as a skill through meditation, consistency, and continual reflection and improvement.
I want to talk to you about how to become a world-class leader. This is so essential to becoming a world-class leader, is that you need to be consistent. You don't become a world-class leader by being inconsistent. You don't become a world-class leader by quitting. It's every day doing the right thing, the main thing. It's doing those everyday essentials that will make you very successful in your life. And believe me, at 74, I can tell you this is a fact. Consistency compounds. If there was this big boulder, big rock, and I wanted to break it, and I had like a sledgehammer, a big hammer to pound that rock, when I started, I would know that the first time I hit that sledgehammer on that rock, that there was not going to be anything that would be shown as making progress with that rock. It wouldn't crack. It would just be there. And so I keep pounding the rock. I keep pounding the rock. And for many times, I'm not seeing any progress. I'm not seeing any kind of positive results of all that pounding. But, if I just keep pounding the rock, you know what happens? Eventually, all of a sudden, the rock cracks and then it breaks. Now, the day I hit that sledgehammer on that rock and it broke, would everybody say, oh my gosh, that was the magic hit. That one right there, that was the one that broke the rock. No. Every hit was magic.
Now finally at number 7, everybody wants to be you. Now this is not conceited in any way, because if you follow all of the steps through from 1 to 6, then you'll want to be you as well. You build up a trust with yourself because you stopped abandoning yourself by taking extra special care of yourself. You go the extra mile for yourself. You put that cross in so your future self can score that goal. You're happy with your life, you're in control of your emotions, and physically nobody can F with you. But most of all, you're present. That means you're not living in your head and you are honoring the present moment. These are all deliberate and difficult things to pull off. No wonder people can't get enough of you. The way you communicate, dress, and smell, that kind of consistent effort is amicable.
The most important thing, self-confidence. Without that skill, and I use the word skill intentionally, without that skill, we are useless as a soccer player. Because when you lose sight or belief in yourself, we're done for. I use the definition of self-confidence to be the ability or the belief to believe in yourself to accomplish any task, no matter the odds, no matter the difficulty, no matter the adversity. The belief that you can accomplish it. The easiest way to build self-confidence, there's no magic button. Repetition, repetition, repetition.
Thanks, I don't smoke.
So here I want you to notice how he holds strong eye contact. If you ever watch charismatic people talk to someone, you'll notice it's something about their eyes that makes them special.
I talk in The Art of Seduction of charisma. And what I define charisma is, there's a person who has a kind of inner light inside of them. They're so confident that they kind of glow with that confidence, that their words are kind of revealing it, their eyes are glowing, their gestures are glowing, and they're very charismatic. It could be a Malcolm X, it could be a Marilyn Monroe, it could be a John F. Kennedy, it could be a Mick Jagger, whomever. We sense this incredible confidence in them, this power, and it's like an inner lantern that just makes everything glow. And we are so attracted to that. That's what charisma is. Why are we attracted to it? Because we envy people who have that kind of confidence. We wish we could have that, and we find it very compelling. We want to know them. We think that some of it perhaps will rub off on us.
Despite having social anxiety growing up, Tom Hardy has transformed himself into someone that oozes confidence and is incredibly popular. He'll often slouch or fidget in conversation, doing things you're quote-unquote not supposed to do. These mindsets allow him to project a confident, I don't give a fuck attitude that draws people to him.
Would you like to say a few words to your public?
No.
The first thing that helps Tom go into any conversation with confidence is that he isn't trying to make the whole world like him. He's willing to polarize. This mindset frees you to make a strong impression rather than no impression. One habit that will help you get used to polarizing people and just help you build more confidence is to allow yourself to have authentic reactions to other people. The average person's internal dialogue is, I hope this person likes me. Part of Tom's confidence comes from doing the opposite. He's there to see if he likes you.
The first trick to immediately command more respect is to upgrade your thin slice. People can make their first judgment on whether or not they like someone within just 5 seconds of seeing them. And it's dramatized, but we've all experienced the sense of liking someone as soon as we saw them, like in the scene from Crazy Stupid Love. Thin slices are necessarily shallow judgments, and it can be tempting to chalk yours all up to genetic luck of the draw. One massive lever in your direct control is your clothes.
One recent study showed that you can improve your overall attractiveness by dressing well. In the study, participants were asked to rate the competence, work comfort, and sociability of 6 models. 3 were dressed in unattractive clothing and 3 in attractive clothing. When the rating results were analyzed, the conclusion was clear. The models in attractive clothing were perceived more positively than those in unattractive clothing. And this led researchers to conclude something very interesting. Clothing attractiveness can have a very similar positive effect to that of actual attractiveness. As a matter of fact, a man's sense of style outranked muscle build, height, fitness, and even the perceived handsomeness of their face.
A strong, confident voice will completely change the way people react to you. It makes you more attractive. It'll make you a stronger leader. People will respect your ideas more just because of the way you say them. It'll even make you funnier.
Now there it is, people. 7 signs that you're an alpha male. Now I hope you've enjoyed this video because I've definitely enjoyed making it. Okay, so which traits did I leave out? Which traits did you resonate with? And which traits do you need to improve on? Please leave your comments down below in the section. People, if you like the content that man's putting out, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button. And I'll see man on the next video. Peace.